The Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show is sponsored by Accunet Mortgage, an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 255368, and Accunet Realty Advisors, which is a separate company from but still affiliated with Accunet Mortgage.
Putting a roof over your head without the headache. Get answers to all of your home buying questions. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
And our Sunday best to you. Good morning and welcome to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show. I'm Steve Kettler, along with Accunet Mortgage and Accunet Realty Advisors owner Brian Wickert and licensed millennial loan consultant David Wickert. As always, if you have a question, you can call us or text us at 414-799-1620 or throughout the Midwest on the Accunet Mortgage toll-free talk line. So, gentlemen, Labor Day weekend is upon us. This is kind of like a mile marker in the sales year for real estate. School's starting up, and summer's kind of in the rearview mirror.
And fashion. I'm putting away my white patent leather shoes and my white patent leather belt go in the closet on September 5th, isn't it? On Tuesday. Sure. Yeah. So really some interesting stuff going on in the market. Inventory is still tight. Just not quite as tight as it was in the spring.
So I walked in this morning and you had a look of panic in your eyes. Like, I think there's
trouble on the horizon.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought now that you looked into the numbers more, but it's still not great.
Yeah, I haven't ever really paid a lot of attention to the pending home sales number. That means a listing contract that has an accepted offer and all the contingencies of that offer have been met. Like, okay, we know we're going to the closing table now, as long as the house doesn't burn down. Yeah. Okay, so that's like a really solid deal. And so I'm going to tell you about that number last. Let's just kind of quickly tell you, this is data according to the Metro Multiple Listing Service, which I'm a member of through Accunet Realty Advisors, and this covers all of southeastern Wisconsin. There might be a few stragglers from other counties, but it's mainly southeastern Wisconsin. August, single-family home sales were down 234 sales compared to August a year ago. So that means this August we had 2,631 successful closings. That's 8% fewer than a year ago. That gap could shrink. Maybe not every real estate brokerage or agent got their data in yet, so maybe that'll improve next week. Because remember, Thursday was the last day of August. Yeah. On a year-to-date basis, though, statistically, we're exactly the same as last year, 18,809. All right, I didn't ask David this question before we went on the air, but what sales are not included in these numbers?
Oh, for sale by owner.
Correct. I have no gauge on what the for sale by owner market is like, meaning a transaction that closed without the help of a real estate agent, right? At least a member of the National Association of Realtors. And so, but just in general, the hotter the market is, the more people try to
do it themselves.
Yeah. That's right. So I think, maybe these numbers are offset slightly by that chunk of the market. All right, good news. Almost exactly the same number of homes were listed for sale in August versus a year ago. So people are still listing their homes, 3,415. That's the fresh meat, the fresh listings that came on in August. Okay, now the bad news. Total number of active listings is down by about 1,000 homes compared to last August. So if you're out there looking in southeastern Wisconsin, there are 9,249 single-family homes currently listed for sale. That's about 1,000 less than this time last year. There is a 4-month supply of homes. In other words, if you took the number of homes that sold in August and gazinted that into the number for sale, you get, it would take 4 months to chew through
sell them all.
Right. Now, the good news is that's a little higher than the year-to-date number, which is 3.2. So that's a little bit of good news. Yeah. Is there's a little bit of letting up on the demand side, compared to the supply, which is maybe kind of natural for this time of year, right? Because people who wanted to buy and get in before school started, well, that game is over.
Okay.
All right, here's a quiz question. Are you ready, Steve? The median number of days it took to go from putting the for sale sign in the yard to getting an accepted offer of single-family homes in the Metro MLS for August, was it 43 days, 34 days, or 25 days? Steve, you answer first.
34.
Well, That is actually the number for 2017 year-to-date. So if you look at all the home sales on a year-to-date basis, the median number of days it took was 34. David, that leaves two other possibly correct numbers.
Whatever the 20-something number was.
25 is the correct number, so it only took a little more than 3 weeks to go. This is the median, which David, master's degree from the University of Phoenix. What's the definition of median again?
Is just literally in the 100. What is number 50?
Right. Half were above, half were below.
Yeah.
So the midpoint. And 43 days was the number of days it took in August of last year. So that's a heck of a reduction in the number of days. So I'm going to call that, and they do this in the stock market stuff, this is the velocity of the market. Okay, there's the volume.
Review
and
again, it's a well-balanced market is a 6-month supply?
Yeah, 3 to 6, they say. The slower, if it's over 6, it's a buyer's market. 3 to 6 is allegedly balanced. So we're kind of towards the lower end of that 3 to 6 month.
Okay.
All right. Now, last thing, though, this is what got me kind of worried. There are 1,500 fewer pending listings right now in the MLS. And so that got me worried. It's like last year there were 2,657. This year, there's only 1,131. That's a 57% drop. So I was like, oh, man, September is going to be awful. But then I started thinking, well, wait a minute. That's only the ones that have cleared their financing contingency and appraisal and home inspection. So maybe there are a bunch of listings out there that have accepted offers that are set to close, late September, but they just haven't crossed all their hurdles. So I'm not an expert on pending sales, but that number did jump off the page to me. All right. When we come back from this first break, I'm just going to quickly give you the condo markets, and then I'm going to tell you a story about just how tight it is in a certain sub-market within Milwaukee County with a story of one of our rock-solid pre-approval home shoppers when we come back.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show. If you have a question, you can text it or talk it in on the Accunet Mortgage Talk and Text line. That number is 414-799-1620.
Don't break the bank to get into a house. Back to the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Craig Counsell and the Brewers are getting creative with their starting rotation here in September as they make a push for a playoff berth. So which pitcher will need to step up the most in these final few weeks? Matt Pauley explores that during Wisconsin Sports Weekend, beginning at noon right here on WTMJ. Brian Wickert is with us. David Wickert is with us. It's the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Hour on WTMJ.
So we're talking about the inventory situation, at least in southeastern Wisconsin, and we just covered the single family in the first segment of the show. Condo market is actually doing better than the single family market. You can carry this little rule of thumb in your head. The condo market is about 1/5 the size of the single family market, so 20%. There were 492 closed condo sales in August. That was exactly one more than August a year ago. Okay. On a year-to-date basis, there have been 41 more closed sales, 1.2% more. Condo listings in August, there were 17 more, so 584 condos came on the market. On a year-to-date basis, a little over 4,600 condos have been listed for sale, 157 more than in 2016. Median continuous days on market for condos was very similar to single family, 26 days, so the same kind of velocity. These things are flying off the shelf. And that's compared to 33 days year-to-date and 47 days last year, very similar again to the single family market, and a 4-month supply. So I'm going to say condo market's a little friendlier for buyers than single family, but quite similar. All right, so we've got a couple who we have issued a rock-solid pre-approval for, and quite a while ago. They've been kind of looking all summer, and they were in the competition again this last week. And we're talking about Wauwatosa, and I'm going to say broadly it's in the $250,000 to $400,000 price range. Getting ready for the show today, I look at the multiple listing service. There are 50 single-family listings in Wauwatosa in that price range right now, but 7 are already in pending status, and another 21 have accepted offers. So really, 28 are not available, which leaves 22. Oh, guess how many homes sold in August in that price range? very similar to that number I just said.
22?
Exactly 22. So in this submarket, Wauwatosa, 250 to 400, there is a 1-month supply.
They're all going to get sold this month.
That would be the statistical likelihood. So along comes our rock solid pre-approved buyer. They write an offer that is $20,000 over the asking price. Now, they have a home, but we were able to get them a rock solid pre-approval. David, you were involved in this particular transaction. Without the sale of their home, so it's no sale of home contingency. That's really a positive.
Because otherwise that would be the kiss of death.
That would be the kiss of death for sure. That's the number one. They write with no appraisal contingency. Kind of dangerous, but the real estate agent is somebody I know, love, and respect, and is really smart. It's like, if you guys want to win this thing, you can't have an appraisal contingency. There is a financing contingency that matches our rock solid pre-approval. And, of course, they write with a home inspection, but they give the seller the right to cure any defects without any other extra language, which we would normally like to see a buyer have. You know, normally we say, hey, if you're going to give the seller the right to cure, let's make sure that you get to participate in deciding who and how any defects are cured. No, can't have that in this kind of a tough market. They didn't get the offer because there were 3 other offers. Now, David already knows the answer, but can you think of any reason why they wouldn't have gotten the offer, Steve? Anything at all? And I'm kind of holding back one piece of information.
Just more verification.
Okay, more verification. We believe that the reason was that the pre-approval and the offer reflected 5% down. And the reason they can only muster 5% down is they haven't sold their old house yet. So they're relying on their savings, and they don't really have enough equity in that old home to do any kind of a significant bridge loan. So we believe, in talking with myself and the buyer's agent, that when you're competing against 3 other offers, they're probably all over asking price. Maybe they had appraisal contingencies or they didn't. But we think the reason why this one didn't win was because it's got 5% down. And there's really then no wiggle room. And I don't know if listing agents are this tuned in or sellers, but, you know, if we would have said 20% down, that just sounds better, right? And then if the appraisal comes in low, because remember I said it's without an appraisal contingency, well, maybe they've got some wiggle room to still accept the offer because they're making a larger down payment. At 5% down, there's just no wiggle room because we can't go to 3% down because these folks are not a first-time home buyer. So I'm kind of struggling. It's like I was talking to the listing agent, like, well, maybe we could get them a bridge loan or a home equity line. And
or a gift?
Yeah. That's another thing. We looked at a gift or a 401k loan. No gift available, no 401k available. And, you know, we might be able to get them to 10% down, but she really thinks we got to get to 20. So they probably have to sell their house if they're going to be successful, in order to write the bigger down payment. All right, when we come back, we will tell you about home price appreciation numbers. I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised for Wisconsin and other states when we come back after this break.
And if you have a question, you can reach us on the Accunet Mortgage talk and text line. Call it or text it in at 414-799-1620.
Getting you into the home of your dreams. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
DanceWorks in Milwaukee is celebrating its 25th year. Executive Director Deb Ferris says it took a tragedy, however, for her to realize that dance was her passion. Hear her story and so much more when she sits down with our Jane Matnair in the newest edition of WTMJ Conversations, coming your way at 11 o'clock this morning. Brian Wickert is with us. David Wickert is with us here on Wisconsin's Accunet Mortgage and Realty Hour.
So we have every quarter we get numbers from the Federal Housing Finance Agency, which is the regulator of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And so they gather all this data from every loan that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have purchased, and they do what's called a paired sales analysis, which is like so much better than looking at the median price from the MLS. Notice how I didn't even talk about the median sales price because it doesn't tell you anything about the homes. The features, was it a 3-bedroom last year that there was predominant? Now it's a 4-bedroom. It's apples and zucchinis. So the cool thing about the FHA Home Price Index is it levels all the numbers out based on the attributes of the home. Okay, so let's start out with the entire nation. because that's what the headline was when it got released. Nationwide, according to the FHFA, home prices were up 6.64%.
And this is the same. This is comparing the same house against itself from a previous sale.
That's a better way of saying what I was trying to say. Yeah. So 6.64%. So that means if a home sold a year earlier, and this is as of June 30th. All right. So not too bad. A home that sold for $200,000 a year ago is now worth $213,280. In the great state of Wisconsin, we are not far off the national average. We're at 6.18%. Now, does that mean, David, that every house in the state of Wisconsin went up exactly 6%?
No.
No. Some went up 12, others 0. But on the big broad average, that. All right. Leading the nation in year over year. Now, we're just going to go on a state basis, and then maybe after the news, I've got it based on the metropolitan area here in Wisconsin. David, you want to guess? I'm just going to give you a choice of 3.
No. I was just going to Colorado.
All right. Smarty Pants, you're wrong.
Okay.
The other 2 are Idaho and Washington State. And, Steve, you get the next pick. So you know Colorado's wrong. You got a 50-50 shot here.
Great. Let's go with Idaho.
Washington State. Washington State is up 12.4%. And on our recent trip to the undisclosed location where we took the blue button sign, which you can still see at Accunet.com, 3 of the people from that trip were from Seattle, Washington. And they were talking about how smoking hot that market is. Yeah. And then Colorado was second place, 10.4%. And Idaho, I don't know why, maybe they got potatoes on sale there. It's just beautiful. I've been in a corner of Idaho, but I've never been to a city. 10.3%. Rounding out the top 10 states, Florida in number 4 at 9.4%, Utah 9.25%, Oregon 8.6% home price appreciation from a year ago, North Carolina 8.5%, Arizona 8.4%, California 8.3%, and Texas 8.3%. All right, so now what about a longer-term point of view? And for this, I went back to the very beginning. Oh, it's time for the news. All right, when we come back from the news, I'm going to tell you how much home prices have gone up in various states, including Wisconsin, since 1991. And then I've also got the metropolitan areas within Wisconsin when we come back after the news.
Right here on the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show. It's coming up on 10:30 as we welcome in from the WTMJ Breaking News Center, Belinda Babinick.
The White House says President Trump and his national security team plan a meeting today to talk about North Korea in the wake of the North's announcement that it has conducted its most powerful nuclear test to date. The White House says the president's team is monitoring.
Find a place to call home without the headache. This is the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
So we're going back to numbers from 1991 to make an example here.
Yeah, because when you talk about, home price appreciation, it's always, compared to what? And so just real quickly, because I don't want to get to the metro areas within Wisconsin, if you bought a $100,000 home in Wisconsin in 1991, it is now worth, according to the FHFA price index. Any wild guess, David?
I have no idea.
Steve, you want to just put a number out there?
$252.
Yeah. Good. Are you looking at my screen? $243.
No.
$243,000. Ohio, by the way, only would it be worth $190. Michigan, $212. Iowa, $234. Minnesota's the only state in the upper Midwest that would beat us. They're at $271. Just for fun, 3 states or areas with vying for biggest home price appreciation. David,
I think you told me this one. The biggest one is D.C.
Washington, D.C., yes, from $100,000 up to, are you ready? $512,000 American dollars over the last 26 years. Colorado in second place, going from $100,000 to $424,000, and Oregon up to $396,000. All right, now let's turn our attention to real numbers here, relatively speaking. So I've got the breakdown metropolitan areas in Wisconsin, and I can tell you a number of different things from last year. I can also tell you from the lowest value or the peak value. Right, so let's just go from a year ago. La Crosse, 6.5% higher than a year ago, so that is nice. Eau Claire, 5.4. Madison, up 7.3. Duluth Superior, up 5.4. Appleton, up 6.3. Green Bay, up 6.4% from a year earlier. Oshkosh, Neenah, up 5%. Janesville, Beloit, up a whopping 9.4% from a year ago. Wausau, a little more tame, 2.6%. Sheboygan, 6.2%, home of Gene Miller. And Milwaukee, up 5.8%. Fond du Lac, 3.1%. Racine, 5.3%. And Kenosha, up 4.2%. So, David, what's the point that you were telling me on the break? It's like, great, so my home value, I'm up $12,000. I'm up, 6.5%. Yeah. What does that mean?
Let's hop on the phone and see if we can get rid of that monthly PMI, that dirty word PMI. If only because if I can keep your rate the same, and if you're 2 years into your loan, I'll give you a 28-year mortgage. But we can get rid of that monthly PMI. That could be $100 savings.
Or $150, especially if it's FHA mortgage
insurance.
Yeah,
just from the word go.
And then, if it's been a couple of years like this, just by the way, here's just kind of a regurgitation of let's compare it to the peak values that we reached in 2007, 2008. La Crosse is up 17% from their peak values.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Eau Claire's up 12.5%. Madison's up 12% from their peak values. There's equity opportunity there. And we've been helping a lot of people. Maybe they got a home equity line of credit a year or 2 or 3 ago to do some home, remodeling. And now all of a sudden they're noticing that rate is going up.
Yeah.
Good time to put that together.
Well, and it happened, at least in one example this week, we called a past customer and said, we could lower your rate by 0.5%. And they're like, actually, we'd like to redo our kitchen. Can we take some cash out? Because they had appreciation like that.
Right. So rates are at the low point of 2000.
Did you look up Chicago? Are they still below their peak?
Yes.
I'm not looking at his screen, I
He's
swear.
not looking at my screen. Okay. The Chicago values are still 13% below their peak values. 13%. So that means if you bought a $200,000 property in Chicago back at the peak, it's now worth $174. Okay. The Racine is the only county in Wisconsin that's still significantly below 10%. So that means if you bought for $200,000 at the peak, it's down to $180. Kenosha, I should have said that. So Kenosha's been kind of dragged down by Chicago because really that's part of the Lake County / Kenosha metropolitan statistical area. They're down 14% from peak values. In other words, $200,000 is now worth $172. And another market that we got a lot of people that own property in here in Milwaukee, Naples, still down 21% from peak value, even though they are up 71% from the low point in 2011. They're still 21% below peak values. Now, again, Naples is a huge market.
Yeah.
And so, you're talking anywhere from $10 million properties down to $150.
Right.
So that's painting with a very broad brush. But in general, the takeaway is home values are nicely up. And that ties in with what we were talking about before. It's supply and demand, the most simple economic, law in the world. Mm-hmm. You got values going up. Now is a great time to take advantage of that. And David, when we come back, why don't you give us the latest number because we are at the lowest rates of 2017. We'll have an update when we come back.
And if you have a question or a comment, you can call it or text it into us on the Accunet Mortgage Talk and text line. That number is 414-799-1620.
Expert advice on buying a home. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
Well, one mom from Plover, Wisconsin is heading all the way to Hungary to compete in the Arm Wrestling World Championships. But first, she's going to join Gene Miller to talk about her preparation and training. That's at 8:20 Tuesday morning on Wisconsin's Morning News. It's the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show here on WTMJ. So we're at the lowest point for mortgage rates for the entire year right now?
Yeah, you bet. So the jobs report came out on Friday. It was a little light, and I would have thought that that would have made rates even a little bit better, but we apparently not. But even so, at the end of business on Friday, Accunet could offer with 25% equity all the right stuff on a $200,000 loan. And let's not forget, all the right stuff includes no second mortgage out there, credit score of 740, and you're escrowing for your taxes. A interest rate of 3.875% with just $600 in closing costs on a 30-year fixed, and the APR is 3.908. If you are 45 to 50 years old and you're like, honey, you know what I want to do? I want to pay off our mortgage before we retire. we could line you up with that 15-year fixed at 3.125% with just regular closing costs of $1,100. The APR is 3.176.
Okay.
Because what are regular closing costs? Do we have that paper shuffling fee, as I like to call it?
No. We just have things that get paid to third parties like an appraisal and a credit report and title insurance and closing. That's it.
Literally.
Unless you want to pay interest in advance, called points, to obtain a lower rate. I had another customer compliment us. These people were first-time home buyers, looking to buy a home from his mom. And so we hopped on a go-to meeting session. That's where the customer can easily see the loan consultant screen, in this case my screen. And they absolutely loved our proprietary home design software that we affectionately call the Wiz, which gives a borrower a side-by-side comparison of all the numbers, and then with your expert guide, your licensed loan consultant, David, myself, one of the other 12 loan consultants that we have at Accunet, walk you through those numbers. And in that particular case, just by the way, because they're buying from a relative, you can do a couple of different things, like, well, maybe we set the purchase price higher and have your mom give a gift of equity, blah, blah, blah. So we were spending a lot of numbers, which would have been impossible to communicate. But our proprietary side-by-side comparison tool is widely loved by our clients when they get a chance to see it. All right, go on, David. Any other rates you have to share?
I was going to point out, if you're the type of person who wants to hop on an adjustable rate mortgage, it is about a 0.5% lower. So on a 7-year ARM, Accunet could offer 3.375, which sounds very attractive. The APR is 3.737. But the difference in the payment is $54 a month on a $200,000 loan. And you will have paid down your loan by just $2,000 more in 7 more years, which is my snarky way of saying it's not worth it.
Well, I have a client closing this week, but on a jumbo. So we're talking, over $600,000 loan amount, and he's highly confident he's not going to be in the house, and he frankly can afford it, right, to take the interest rate risk. Okay. So in that case, the 7-year ARM is significantly less, not just because of the interest rate, but it's magnified by the loan amount.
Yeah,
and so it was the right choice for him, and happy to do that, but it's kind of rare. Just in terms of talking about the opportunities to refi, I just dollied up the numbers here while you were given the rate update. If you're sitting out there and you've got 27 years left on a $200,000 loan balance at 4.375, and you're saying, well, geez, I didn't hear David say that rates were at 3.375 on a 30-year fixed rate, so I know I haven't met the 1% rule. Here's the cool thing. We can lower your rate by 0.5% down to 3.875, shave 2 years off your loan, give you a new 25-year loan. Your payment would go down $12, but you would save $27,600 of interest over the remaining life of the loan. That's just one way to win at the refinance game. If we took you back out to 30 years, your payment would go down $113 a month. And you'd still save $1,579 of interest over the life of the loan. So I call that, you can have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And then, some people, maybe want to pull cash out for a remodel or to pay off the home equity line or credit card debts. We've got some who's pulling out, hopefully that's a one-time thing.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is there. We are at the confluence of rising home prices and lowest rates we've had all year. Lowest rates really since the election last November. And so that spells opportunity. Just one more thought on that, though. Now is a decent time. We were talking a lot at the beginning of the show about how inventory is still tight, but not as tight as it was earlier this summer or in the spring. And seasonally, you just have decreasing demand at this time of year. So if you are able to buy in the fall or early winter, now is the time to either renew your rock-solid pre-approval. If you went shopping earlier this year and you didn't have a rock-solid pre-approval from Accunet, believe me, it makes a difference. That is a recognized good thing when listing agents and sellers now see that. Wow, okay, Accunet, that's good to go. We got the cool little rock-solid guaranteed logo on there. All right, when we come back, I've got a gripe that we're going to talk about. I received a postcard because I am a licensed realtor, so I get postcards from other lenders. This one came to me from a certain credit union I won't tell you their name, but their initials start with UW. And it claims that they have the lowest closing costs. I'm going to talk about that when we come back.
And if you have a question or a comment, you can reach us on the Accunet Mortgage Talk and Text line. That number is 414-799-1620.
Don't just find a house, find your home. Here's more of the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian Wickert on 620 WTMJ.
And David Wickert as well. But Brian just received a postcard that, caused him to do a little double check there.
Well, let's just say it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck. All right, so it's addressed to Brian Wickert, Accunet Realty Advisors, and it's from UW Credit Union. And the headline on the postcard says, "We have the lowest closing costs," which, of course, as the president and owner and founder of Accunet Mortgage, I go, really? And then the body copy says, UW Credit Union wants your clients to find the perfect homes. Remember, this is addressed to real estate agents, worry-free. With our lowest closing cost commitment, your clients will get the lowest closing costs with us. In fact, if they find lower closing costs with another lender that will match their closing costs or give them $500. So, David, I said, David, go do a comparison check with UW Credit Union against us today. And what did you find, David?
That we're $300 less than what they quote on their website.
So I'm saying they do not have the lowest closing costs. The way, if they want to be truthful and not misleading, in this headline, it should read, "We'll match the lowest closing costs you can find."
Yes.
That's what it should say, because they, in fact, do not have the lowest closing costs, at least on the scenario that we checked. And then wait till you get a load of these little fine prints after the asterisks. It says, to qualify for the offer, the borrower must complete a UW Credit Union mortgage application. So you got to let them check your credit and provide an unexpired loan estimate of an equivalent loan from a competing lender prior to locking either loan. So they're going to make you sit there and float until they can complete their analysis. You get 2 quotes, and then they'll decide. UW Credit Union will determine at its sole discretion if the loan terms of the 2 loans are equivalent and compare closing costs. Now, check this out. The comparison costs for closing will exclude title insurance, transfer tax, escrow payments, daily interest charges, and, this is the big thing, loan level price adjustments. Well, loan level price adjustments are on every loan unless you put 40% down.
Yeah.
These are fees that are imposed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on fixed rate loans and some ARMs to adjust for certain risk factors. It says LLPAs, those are loan level price adjustments, represented as origination points or fees, are also excluded. Well, then, if they decide that they don't want to match the closing costs, they'll give you $500, but only after you open up a checking account with them. Awesome. And then, by the way, your loan with the other lender has to close, and then you got to send them the closing disclosure and the signed note, and they'll promise to pay you within 90 days.
I work at a mortgage company, and even I wouldn't go through the hassle of getting that $500.
Yeah, so I'm not happy about that. Then David also goes on there, and just by the way, if you get a rate quote with less than 20% down on their site, on their website,
yeah,
they violate a federal regulation called Regulation Z, because they say, oh, well, we can't reflect the cost of monthly mortgage insurance in our annual percentage rate calculation. Other than that, I think they're doing a great job. So we have lower closing costs, at least on the comparison we did today, compared to UW Credit Union, despite what their little mailer says that they sent to every realtor.
What was the other experience you had with a young guy looking to do comparison?
Yep, a guy, this is a different credit union, he got a quote from and sent it to our loan consultant. And I was helping this loan consultant try to decipher their rate and closing cost quote. And I got to tell you, it was hard. And I have how many years of experience?
Many.
30-some, 5 years of experience. I'm looking at this tool that they use because it wasn't the actual loan estimate form. It was some other tool.
Which we sent, I think, to that borrower. Specifically, like, if you're going to...
Here's
our loan estimate.
Okay, we sent the official loan estimate. This tool that we use to quote rates and closing costs is more clear, we think, and our customers tell us, than a loan estimate. But this thing was almost impossible to decipher. But it turned out we beat them by $500 in what I could tell were closing costs.
Yeah.
Because they're confusing with things that the borrower doesn't even have to pay, like an owner's title policy. And then they put an asterisk by it, like, oh, this $815 fee is you may not have to pay. And just very hard to understand. And so we were $1,000 less at the closing table and $500 less in actual cost that I could decipher, so we got that deal. So even though credit unions don't have to pay income tax and are not for-profit organizations, which make it hard to compete.
Not that bugs you or anything.
Can you see the hair standing up on the back of my neck? We are able to still compete on price and win. And frankly, the other comment that Kevin, the home buyer, made was that, man, your service is way better in terms of getting back to him and helping him understand the numbers and getting on that go-to meeting so he could actually understand the numbers. So we are happy to compete with all comers. All right, so here we are on the Sunday before Labor Day. Interest rates are at the low point of the year. So a great time to get out there. If you were frustrated earlier this year and didn't find the home of your dreams, let us help you with a rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval to buy. It'll make you the next best thing to a cash offer. And you attach that to your offer to purchase when you write it. And then also plenty of opportunity, and our refinance application volume is up.
Yeah.
For sure, because people have noticed. All right. So click on the blue button. All you got to do to get started is click on that blue button at Accunet.com. Our website is ACCUNET.com. That's all we got for today, Steve. See you next week.
You got it. That's Brian Wickert and David Wickert. We are coming up on 11 o'clock as we'll check in with Belinda Babinek from the WTMJ Breaking News Center next.
The preceding was a paid program. Advice and opinions expressed during the Accunet Mortgage and Realty Show are solely that of the hosts or guests of Accunet Mortgage and Accunet Realty Advisors and not WTMJ Radio or Scripps Media Incorporated.